Hey! This is Mr. Poddable. The revelation from Emily was only the beginning. As I left the cafe that evening, a storm of thoughts churned in my mind. Emily's confession had clarified one thing: we were both in way over our heads. But it also opened a Pandora's box of questions. If Emily had been manipulated by someone close to her, what else were we missing? And more importantly, how deep did this conspiracy go? The next few days were a blur of activity. Emily and I threw ourselves into work, combing through every piece of data, every transaction, every email. We needed to find the missing links, the connections that would help us understand who was really pulling the strings. But the deeper we dug, the more confusing the picture became. It was as if someone had carefully woven a web of deception, covering their tracks so well that we were left chasing shadows. Late one night, after hours of fruitless searching, I found myself staring at the screen, a headache pounding behind my eyes. The office was quiet, the kind of quiet that felt oppressive, almost unnatural. Everyone else had gone home, but I couldn't bring myself to leave. Not yet. There was something I was missing, something crucial that I couldn't quite put my finger on. I leaned back in my chair, closing my eyes for a moment, and that's when it hit me. The pattern. It wasn't just about the money or the communications. It was about timing. The transactions Emily had unknowingly authorized, the information leaks, they all followed a precise schedule, one that mirrored the company's major projects and releases. Someone was using our own work against us, timing their moves to cause the most damage. I quickly pulled up the calendar, cross-referencing it with the data we had. The pattern became clearer with each passing minute. Whoever was behind this was not just a random hacker or a disgruntled employee. This was someone with inside knowledge, someone who understood the company's operations intimately. But there was something else, something even more disturbing. The pattern didn't just align with our work, it aligned with my movements. Every major decision I had made in the past few months, every strategic move, had been countered almost immediately. It was as if someone was watching me, anticipating my every move. A cold chill ran down my spine as I realized the implications. This wasn't just about Emily's betrayal or the information leaks. This was personal. Someone had been targeting me specifically, manipulating events to undermine my position, my decisions, my life. I needed answers, and I needed them fast. But I couldn't do this alone. Emily had proven that she was just as much a victim as I was, but that didn't mean she could be trusted completely. There were still too many unknowns, too many variables that I couldn't control. That's when I remembered someone, a person from my past who might be able to help. Marcus was an old friend, a former intelligence operative who had retired from the field a few years ago. He had always been the paranoid type, but his skills were unmatched when it came to uncovering secrets. If anyone could help me untangle this web, it was him. I grabbed my phone and dialed his number, hoping that he was still the same man I had known all those years ago. The phone rang twice before he picked up, his voice as gruff as I remembered. "Jack? It's been a while. What's going on?" "Marcus, I need your help," I said, cutting straight to the point. "It's urgent. I'm dealing with something big, and I can't trust anyone else." There was a pause on the other end, and for a moment, I wondered if he was going to hang up. But then he spoke again, his tone more serious. "All right. Tell me everything." I spent the next hour outlining the situation, from Emily's confession to the strange patterns I had discovered. Marcus listened in silence, occasionally asking a question but mostly letting me talk. When I finished, there was another long pause. "This isn't just a simple corporate espionage case, Jack," he finally said. "This goes deeper, much deeper. You're dealing with professionals here, people who know how to cover their tracks. But if what you're saying is true, then they've made one critical mistake." "What mistake?" I asked, leaning forward in my chair. "They underestimated you," Marcus replied. "They've been watching you, sure. But in doing so, they've left a trail that someone like me can follow. Give me some time, and I'll see what I can dig up." Relief washed over me as I thanked him and hung up the phone. For the first time in days, I felt like I was finally gaining the upper hand. But I knew better than to let my guard down. Whoever was behind this was still out there, and they wouldn't hesitate to strike again if they sensed any weakness. The next morning, I met with Emily in my office. She looked tired, the weight of everything that had happened clearly taking its toll on her. But there was also a determination in her eyes that hadn't been there before. She was ready to fight back, and so was I. "We need to be careful," I told her. "I've brought in someone who might be able to help us, but until we know more, we have to assume that we're being watched. Every move we make has to be calculated." Emily nodded, her expression grim. "What's the plan?" "We keep digging," I said. "But this time, we do it on our terms. We feed them false information, set traps, and see who takes the bait. And while they're busy chasing ghosts, Marcus will be working behind the scenes to find out who's really pulling the strings." It was a risky plan, one that could easily backfire if we weren't careful. But it was the best chance we had. As we set our plan into motion, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were entering the most dangerous phase of this game. The stakes were higher than ever, and one wrong move could bring everything crashing down. But there was no turning back now. The web of deception was unraveling, and I was determined to see this through to the end, no matter the cost. To be continued? Thanks for listening, stay curious, stay awesome, and as always, keep it poddable. See you in the next episode.